Welcome friends to this YouTube exclusive from the Celtic Llama. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can crochet a chicken from start to finish. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. The items you'll need for this project, you will need some white yarn, red yarn, yellow yarn, a size G or 4mm crochet hook, a tapestry needle to sew everything together, either a stitch marker, string, or plastic. I use string, scissors, and two 12mm safety eyes in black, and finally some stuffing. Also for this project, you're going to need to know how to do a single crochet, a half double crochet, a double crochet. You're going to need to know how to increase and decrease, and also work in the front loop and back loop for single crochets. If you need help with any of these stitches or techniques, you can check down in the description below. I'll leave a link to all the videos that I have on how to do those stitches and techniques. Alright, let's get started. To start off, you want to grab the color yarn yellow. To start off this project, we are going to be making the feet. Now for this, you're going to want to make two, so just keep that in mind. Once you finish one, you want to go ahead and pause this and make the second one. For round one, you are going to work 6 single crochets into a magic circle. If you need help with the magic circle, all you need to do is chain 2, and then in the last chain from the hook, go ahead and work 6 single crochets. For this project, we will not be joining after every single row. You are just going to continue working in a continuous spiral. For rounds 2 through 4, you are just going to be working 6 single crochets, so 1 single crochet in each stitch, and again that is repeated through rows 2 through 4. Now you might notice that in this video, I'm not going to be editing out everything that I ended up crocheting. I'm going to let you actually see how the process ends up going from start to finish. So if you feel like skipping ahead, I have little chapter markers that you can look down and see exactly where different projects are started and stopped. So there will be sections of this video where it's just the music for you to enjoy as you crochet. Now that we've reached the end of round 4, you want to go ahead and cut your yarn, leave a long tail for sewing, and you want to go ahead and fasten off your work, and don't stuff the feet. The feet are left just the way they are. Now don't forget that you need 2 of these because the chicken needs 2 feet. Now that we've finished the feet, let's go ahead and move on to the next part of the chicken. We are going to be working on the wings. For the wings, you're going to need yarn color white. For round 1, you are going to be working 6 single crochets into a magic circle. Now for this project, I am going to be using a stitch marker that is going to be represented by the blue string you'll see in this video, and how I end up using that is I just weave it in and out, and that's how I end up figuring out where my rows start and stop since I'm working in a continuous round. For round 2, you are going to work an increase into each stitch, and that ends up meaning that you're going to work 2 single crochets into every single stitch, giving you a stitch count of 12. For round 3, you are going to work a single crochet in the next stitch followed by an increase in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 18. So what this ends up meaning is you're going to be working 1 single crochet in the next stitch followed by 2 single crochets in the following stitch, and that is repeated 6 times. And of course, while crocheting, there is some hazards to where all of your yarn gets knotted up and you have to fix it. For round 4, you are going to do a repeat, a single crocheting in the next 2 stitches followed by an increase in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and it'll end up giving you a stitch count of 24. So again, breaking that down, what that means is in the next 2 stitches you'll work 1 single crochet each, and then in the 3rd stitch you're going to work 2 single crochets, and again that is repeated 6 times for a stitch count of 24. Round 5 is where the magic ends up happening for creating the detail for the chicken's wings. So to get started, you're going to be working a repeat. The repeat is going to be single crocheting in the next stitch, followed by working 3 double crochets into the following stitch. This is repeated 4 times. Then you will work a single crochet in the following stitch, and then you'll leave everything completely unworked. You'll fasten off your yarn and you'll leave a long tail for sewing. So again, for this project, you are going to work 1 single crochet in the next stitch, followed by working 3 double crochets all within the next stitch after that, and then you are going to repeat that 4 times, followed off by finishing off with 1 single crochet and then leaving all of the other stitches unworked. Here we are at the end. Just go ahead and fasten off your work and leave a long tail for sewing the wing onto the body of the chicken later. And as mentioned before, you are going to need to make 2 of these because the chicken needs 2 wings. Now, if you end up using a string stitch marker, you have the satisfaction of just pulling out your stitch marker, and for some reason that always brings me a slight bit of joy. Hopefully it does for you too. Now that we have 2 wings, let's go ahead and start working on the next part of the chicken, the beak. For the beak, you are going to need yarn color yellow. For round 1, you are going to work 4 single crochets into a magic circle. For round 2, you are going to single crochet in each stitch, so that'll be a total of 4 single crochets. Then you are going to fasten off and leave a long tail for sewing, and you do not need to stuff the beak. Now the beak was super easy, so let's go ahead and jump into the next part of the chicken, which is going to be the comb. That is the red little tuffy spot on the top of the chicken's head. For this portion of the project, for the comb, you are going to need yarn color red, and you're going to start off by chaining 16. This portion is going to be just chained in a row. Once you have your 16 chains, we are going to go ahead and start off on row 1. So you are going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. Then you are going to do a repeat of working a double crochet into the next chain stitch, followed by a half double crochet in the following stitch, and then a single crochet. That is repeated 4 times. So again, how this is going to end up looking is you are going to double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. Then you are going to work a double crochet in the next stitch, followed by a half double crochet in the following stitch, and then a single crochet in the next stitch. Or chain space. It depends on how you want to look at it. You can count the chains as a stitch or as a chain space. I kind of flop in between saying both, so sorry about that if it's a little bit confusing. But for me, I mean the same thing. This is repeated 4 times or pretty much until the end of the row. Once you get to the end of the row, you just want to go ahead and fasten off your work and leave a long tail for sewing. Now that we have the comb done, let's go on to the next facial feature for the chicken, which is going to be the eye and wattle. You're going to end up needing the yarn color red, and you're going to end up making 2 of these. You're going to need yarn color red for this project, and you will be making 2 of the eye and wattles. So to get started, you are going to work 6 single crochets into a magic circle. For round 2, you are going to increase into each stitch all the way around. Again, if you need help with that, that is working 2 single crochets into every single stitch, leaving you a stitch count of 12 once you've gone all the way around. For round 3, we are actually changing it up a bit. So what you're going to end up doing is, instead of it being a round, this turns into a row. And what you're going to do is you're going to start off by chaining 10. Then you're going to work a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook, followed by double crocheting into the next 3 chain spaces. Then you're going to work a half double crochet into the next chain space, followed by single crocheting in the next 2 chain spaces. Then you'll join with a slip stitch into the main section of the eye. You will fasten off your work and you will leave a long tail for sewing on stuff later. Also try to make sure that you don't end up letting your chain section twist like I ended up doing. It just ends up making it a little bit easier if you just stay mindful of it. Now that we're coming to the end of this project, do make sure that you join it with a slip stitch to make it have a nice edge and also leave a long tail for sewing. Now for this section of the project anyway, you are going to make 2 of these because a chicken has 2 eyes. Once you have these 2 done, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of this project, which is going to be the chicken's tail. To start off for the tail, you are going to need yarn color white. For row 1, you are going to work 6 single crochets into a magic circle. I'm also going to be using my stitch marker for this section of the project because there are several rows that I need to keep track of. I suggest that if you are using a stitch marker that you bust yours back out and go ahead and use it for this part of the project. For round 2, we are going to be increasing into each stitch. Again, that means just working 2 single crochets into every single stitch all the way around. This will give you a stitch count of 12. For round 3, you are going to do a repeat, a single crochet in the next stitch, followed by an increase in the following stitch. This is going to be repeated 6 times and you're going to end up having a stitch count of 18. So again, the repeat is going to be single crocheting in the next stitch, followed by increasing in the following stitch, and this is repeated 6 times for a stitch count of 18. Round 4 is going to be doing a repeat, a single crochet in the next 2 stitches, followed by increasing in the next stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 24. So again, the repeat for this is going to be single crocheting in the next 2 stitches, followed by increasing in the next stitch. This is repeated 6 times for a stitch count of 24. Round 5 is going to be a repeat, a single crochet in the next 3 stitches, followed by an increase in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 30. So again, the repeat for this row is going to be single crochet in the next 3 stitches, followed by increasing in the next stitch. Then you will repeat this 6 times for a stitch count of 30. For round 6, you are going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches, followed by increasing in the next stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 36. Again, the repeat for this round is going to be single crocheting in the next 4 stitches, followed by increasing in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and gives you a stitch count of 36. Now before we jump into row 7, that's right, it's a row, not a round. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to fold your work in half right where you left off from the last stitch. So you're going to fold it like a taco, just like this. Then what you'll end up doing is you're going to end up working in the next stitch, followed by the stitch from the row behind. So here we go, into the first stitch, and then you're going to go into this back stitch right here. So you're going to end up working 2 stitches at the same time. And you'll be doing this for the whole entire section of row 7. For row 7, working in both the front and back stitches, you're going to be doing a repeat, a single crochet in the next stitch, followed by working 3 double crochets into the following stitch. This is repeated 8 times, and then you'll finish off with a single crochet in the last stitch. So again, the repeat for this is going to be single crocheting in the next stitch, followed by working 3 double crochets in the following stitch. This is repeated 8 times, and then you will end up finishing off with a single crochet in the last stitch. You will fasten off your work and leave a long tail for sewing. Now keep in mind as you end up doing this section of the project that you are working through the front and back stitch, because we're trying to sew shut that taco that we created by folding this in half. This can end up being a little bit complicated, so just take your time and make sure that you are going into the proper stitches to shut this section of the tail to finish it off to make it look quite nice. So here we are, just finishing off our last single crochet. Again, after this last stitch, you are going to leave a long tail for sewing and fasten off your work. The tail is not stuffed, so please don't stuff it because it'll end up making it look a little bit weird once it is attached to the back of the chicken. Now that we've finished off the tail, let's go ahead and start working on the head and body for the chicken. With yarn color white, we are going to go ahead and start on the head and body. It is crocheted as one whole thing. So for round 1, we are going to start off by working 6 single crochets into a magic circle. Now for this section of the project, there will be areas where I am going to suggest that you end up pausing the video to catch up with everything, because there's a lot of just repeating in the round that I do end up cutting from this, or else this would end up being quite a longer video than it already is. Go ahead and grab your stitch marker, and we are going to go ahead and jump into round 2. Round 2 is going to be increasing in each stitch all the way around, and that'll give you a stitch count of 12. Round 3, you are going to do a repeat, a single crochet in the next stitch, followed by increasing in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 18. So again, the repeat is going to be single crochet in the next stitch, followed by increasing in the following stitch. This is again repeated 6 times and it'll give you a stitch count of 18. Round 4 is going to be single crocheted in the next 2 stitches, followed by increasing in the next stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 24. So again, the repeat is going to be single crocheting in the next 2 stitches, followed by increasing in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 24. For round 5, you are going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then you'll increase in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 30. So again, the repeat is going to be single crocheting in the next 3 stitches, followed by increasing in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 30. Now we are moving on to rows 6 through 10. For rows 6 through 10, you're going to end up single crocheting in every single stitch around. So that'll mean that for every single round, you are just going to be doing 30 single crochets in the round. Again, this is going to be round 6 through 10. So what I suggest is go ahead and hit that pause button on this video that you are watching and get to round 10, and then go ahead and hit play because we are going to go ahead and skip ahead to round 11. Welcome back. We are now on round 11 and we are going to do a repeat, a single crocheting in the next 3 stitches, followed by single crocheting 2 stitches together. This is going to be a decrease. You'll repeat this 6 times and it'll give you a stitch count of 24. So again, the repeat for this is going to be single crocheting in the next 3 stitches, followed by single crocheting 2 together, or it's a decrease. And that'll be repeated 6 times and it'll give you a stitch count of 24. Now for round 2, we're going to get just a little bit more fancy with our stitch techniques. Don't worry, it's pretty easy to do. So the repeat for round 12 is going to be working a front loop single crochet into the next stitch, followed by working 3 front loop double crochets into the following stitch. This is repeated 12 times all the way around. So when you end up working in the front loop, normally when you insert your hook, you'll actually have 2 little loops for where you end up inserting it from the previous stitch. So what you want to do for working a front loop single crochet is you just want to grab that one first loop of the stitch below, and you're going to be working in that all the way around. So again, the repeat for this round is going to be working a front loop single crochet, followed by working 3 front loop double crochets all within the same stitch. This again is repeated 12 times all the way around. Once we have finished that row, we are going to go ahead and actually attach the safety eyes and the eye/wattles that we ended up crocheting earlier. So what you want to do is go ahead and grab your eye and wattle together and your 2 safety eyes. Then what you're going to end up doing is you're going to locate rounds 10 and 11. So I'm just going to pull my needle out, kind of pulling a bit of long yarn so it ends up not unraveling. So I'm counting my stitches and I'm going to find rows 10 and 11. So right there. And I'm just going to kind of go away from my stitch marker so I don't have to worry about moving it. So what I'm going to end up doing is just putting my hook right where I want it to be for the first one. Then you'll notice that my eyes have kind of changed. They're not black anymore. They're black with some brown. I ended up not having the right size of eyes, so I ended up having to buy some new ones. It's no big deal. So what you're going to do is you're going to end up taking one of your wattles, and you're going to insert your safety eye into the center of it. Then you're going to pull out where you had marked your eye socket with your needle, insert the eye, and go ahead and attach the safety eyes. And this will end up attaching the eye wattle and the eye all to the head. Then you are going to count 5 stitches apart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just making sure I'm on the right round. Just take your time with this. I'm going to put my hook in again to kind of just save it to where it needs to be. Insert my eye into the center of the wattle, or eye patch, sorry. And then I'm going to insert my eye where I had marked it with my crochet hook and snap on the safety backs. Now we have the eyes attached. I'm just going to take the long tails for sewing that are the red colored yarn. I'm just going to move those off to the side because we'll deal with that later. So now we are going to go ahead and jump into round 13. Here we are jumping into round 13. So round 13 is going to be a little bit difficult, just like round 12 is, but you got this. Just take it very easy. So we are going to be working a back loop single crochet into every single stitch. So what this ends up meaning is that one stitch that did not get used from row 12, we are now going to be stitching into it. So what you want to do is just go ahead and kind of fluff this little bit down, look inside, and you'll end up seeing the stitch that was not worked. Go ahead and single crochet in every single one of those stitches, and you should end up ending with 24 stitches at the end of this round. Here we are on round 14. You are going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, followed by increasing in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 30. So again, you are going to work a repeat of single crocheting in the next 3 stitches, followed by an increase in the following stitch. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 30. For rounds 15 through 22, you're just going to be single crocheting in every single stitch in the round. So just like before, I'm going to go ahead and say pause this until you finish round 22 and then go ahead and hit play, because we are going to go ahead and jump forward and start off on round 23. Welcome back again. So for round 23, we are going to start off by doing a repeat, a single crocheting in the next 3 stitches, followed by single crocheting 2 together. This is repeated 6 times and it'll give you a stitch count of 24. So again, the repeat is going to be working a single crochet in the next 3 stitches, followed by single crocheting 2 together. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 24. Round 24, you are going to do a repeat, a single crocheting in the next 2 stitches, followed by a single crocheting 2 together. This is repeated 6 times and I'll give you a stitch count of 18. So again, the repeat is going to be single crocheting in the next 2 stitches, followed by single crocheting 2 together. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 18. Round 25 is going to be single crocheting in the next stitch, followed by single crocheting 2 together. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a total of 12 stitches. So again, the repeat is going to be working a single crochet in the next stitch, followed by single crocheting 2 together. This is repeated 6 times and will give you a stitch count of 12. Once you've reached the end of this round, you want to go ahead and stuff your chicken with your polyester fiber fill or whatever stuffing you ended up choosing for this project. Here we are on round 26, which just happens to be the very last round. You are going to work a single crochet 2 together, and that is repeated 6 times, giving you a stitch count of 6. So again, that's single crocheting 2 together. This is repeated 6 times and I'll give you a stitch count of 6. Once you have finished this, you are going to go ahead and cut your work, leaving a long tail for sewing, and fasten off your string. Then what you'll end up doing is taking your tapestry needle, threading it through with the yarn that you have just left for a long tail, and go ahead and sew the end of the chicken shut. Now that we've finished off the body of the chicken, let's go ahead and grab all of the parts that we've already crocheted, because now it is assembly time. For the first part of the assembly, we are going to be sewing down the eye socket area of the chicken. Now that we have that sewn down, you are going to find the beak, that small little itty bitty bit that we made, and you are going to sew that in between his two little eyes right there. So just go ahead and sew that in place. Now that we have the beak sewn in place, let's go ahead and find the comb. It is that really long red thing that you ended up crocheting earlier. And we are going to go ahead and attach that to the top of his head. And how you want to end up placing this is you want it to end up being pretty much straight center. We're only going to sew it like this so he ends up having a mohawk. So go ahead and attach that. Now that we have the comb attached to the top of the head, let's go ahead and locate the two wings that we ended up crocheting earlier. Now these two wings will be sewn on the opposite side each. Make sure that you end up sewing them properly. What you want to end up doing is you want to just sew this section that was left unworked, just right here onto the side. And you'll do that on both sides of the chicken. So go ahead and attach the wings. Now that we have the wings attached to both sides of the chicken, it is definitely starting to look more and more like a chicken. These wings actually, I really think, help make it look really adorable. Now let's go ahead and find his two little feeties, and we're gonna go ahead and sew on and attach his feet, or her feet, or its feet, whatever you want it to be. Ta-da! Now we have the feet attached. Now for the very last part, to make this chicken a chicken, we are going to attach the tail. Now the tail, you want to go ahead and turn it around, and you're going to end up putting the flat end of the tail up against the very base of the body. Right there. That way it'll end up holding the chicken in place. So go ahead and attach that. And just like that, the tail is attached. It'll end up keeping it from falling over, you know, because it is a little bit side heavy. But there you go. That is how you crochet a chicken. Pretty fun, right? I hope you enjoyed this video for how to crochet Kip the Chicken. Again, this is a free pattern, but if you are looking for an actual physical pattern, I do have it on my Etsy site for sale. It's not super expensive, but that's where I have it if you want a physical copy. I'll leave a link down in the description below if you are interested in that. I end up having a lot of fun creating videos like this. If you have a suggestion for a crochet pattern you'd like me to feature or to try to make on this channel, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. It might not happen right away because I am a little bit slow when it comes to creating crochet patterns, but I will do my best. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I make videos like this once a month for crocheting, and there will be some knitting videos as well in the future for patterns. Again, I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in my next crafting video. Have a happy crocheted day.